Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Art with Lita and I am Lita. Today I want to show you how I painted a kudu. Now the kudu is my favorite African animal. They're huge and they're so majestic, and when you see them move, it's just effortless. And anyways, I had a lot of fun painting this. So come along, let's make something pretty.
So as usual, I am starting out with a sketch. I have no idea where I got the reference photo from. It was from one of those free reference sites, I think. And it's just a full-on portrait of a kudu. Now, kudu are African antelope. They are wonderful. They are majestic. They are beautiful. They move effortlessly, and they are absolutely huge. They're as big as a horse. If you ever see one, if you ever get the opportunity to go on safari in Africa and see one, I highly recommend you keep your eyes peeled for the kudu. They are truly beautiful animals. I am working on Fabriano Studio paper. This is watercolor paper, but it is only 25% cotton, and it is so much cheaper than the 100% cotton stuff. It's still very nice to work with, and it's one of those things where I don't feel too precious with it because it's a little bit cheaper, and I'm able to really do a lot more painting, not fearing if I make a huge mistake or if I accidentally end up destroying my piece like I did with the harvest mouse, because it's on a cheap paper. It's on a student more of a student grade, watercolor paper. But because it has some cotton in it, it's still the paint still flows beautifully, and it's still a pleasure to work with. So I think I found the sweet spot when it comes to watercolor paper, in that I can use this guilt-free and know that I'm saving a little bit of money in the process. I'm putting in the sketch. Now I freehand almost all of my sketches anymore. I used to do a lot of tracing, and I see nothing wrong with people that trace out their art. More power to you. It can help you learn proportion. It can help you learn how things work together and angles and stuff. But I do believe that you need to eventually reach a point where you're comfortable freehanding things. And I finally, after many years, I finally reached that point where I know that I can sit down and I can freehand out just about anything now. But it took me many years to reach this point. If you're not quite there yet, if you're still in the stage where you feel like you have to trace something to get an accurate drawing down, then go ahead and do it. And don't let anybody shame you or tell you that you're doing it wrong. There is no right or wrong in art, folks. There is no right or wrong. You go ahead and trace if you have to, but I would encourage you to slowly, slowly teach yourself how to freehand things. Now, I went through and I lightened up the line art because I don't want it to show through too much in the actual painting. And you can see I'm wetting the back side of the paper. This will make sure that it doesn't buckle too much and I won't have to tape it down, which I don't really like to do. See how nice and flat that sits on my work surface there? It's just beautiful. I'm wetting down my paper. I'm giving it a very rough spray with a water bottle. I'm not thoroughly wetting the entire thing. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to pretty randomly drop in different color. First, I'm getting in some light areas with some yellow. But this is a stage where you really don't want to overthink it. You don't want to think it through too much. Just get the color in there and have fun with it. Because of the rough spray that's been put down, it's going to burst out and move into that water, and it's going to create some absolutely beautiful shapes, and it's going to be quite pretty. As you can see, I chose some fun colors for this one. I like going in with pinks and blues and stuff, especially in places where they're really not supposed to be. Whoever heard of a pink kudu? Pink. 'Kudu? 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 I'm keeping my colors very, very soft. For this piece, I didn't want there to be a huge amount of contrast. I wanted it to be all about the colors. I wanted the emotions of the piece to come through. And many times, if you overly concentrate on details and in getting all the lights light enough and all the darks dark enough, and you're worried about all that stuff, many times you can lose the emotion of your piece. And so I'm trying to keep things very loose, very fluid, very light, and just let the painting speak for itself and not force things too much. All right, I'm starting to go in with my second layer now. And even though I am adding my second layer, you will notice I'm not going very dark. I know that these colors might look a little bit dark on screen, but that's because everything always looks more saturated. These will actually dry out into a nice transparent color. And I'm just adding a little bit more definition to the kudu, bringing some more details out in his face, and just slowly building things up. Times you just have to pick up a bigger brush and just go in with it. There you can see I wetted the paper and now I'm dropping in some brighter pops of color. See how beautifully the paint flows on that page? You don't need 100% cotton watercolor paper. I mean, yes, it might work even better than this. I'm not disagreeing with anybody there, but if you want to have a paper that you can have a lot of fun with, you can get to those soft effects with, and still be able to do a lot of lifting and scrubbing and stuff without paying the big bucks, go ahead and look for the 25% cotton stuff. You can't go wrong with it. So here I'm starting to add in the background of this piece, and I'm going to do something a little bit different for me, and I'm going to add some saran wrap, some plastic wrap, and I'm just going to stick it down and I'm going to move it around a bit. And I actually make a mistake when I do that, and that I put it over the dry portion of the ear, and the paint ends up seeping into those areas. But I think I managed to save it, and I just used a clean, damp brush to lift the paint out of those areas. But using saran wrap like this can be a really fun way to just add a little bit of interest to a background, especially in a piece like this where I'm trying to keep everything so soft. And I had fun with it, and that's the most important part. You can see I'm very gently adding in just what's basically colored water at this point, and then I go and I add more color, and then I stick the saran wrap down. And the trick is to let it stay down until it's fully dry. So you put it down, put it into the position you want it to be in, and don't touch it again until it's dry. And you can see I have to go in and pick up some of that color that's seeping where it's not supposed to be. And there you can see scrubbing away on this 25% cotton paper, and it lifts right up. No problem at all. You can tell I haven't really used this technique much, but I think it's something worth exploring. One thing I had read about with this technique is that after you get the saran wrap down and you have all the paint down and everything's good, while it's still damp, you can float in a little bit of any color really. I chose Payne's Gray to just add a little bit more texture and a little bit more interest. So I'm going to attempt that right now. I'm not sure in the end how successful I was. I think maybe I waited until the paper was too dry, but you do see just a little bit of movement there. And if you do this when it's still wet enough, when there's still enough dampness, it's supposed to pull the Payne's Gray up into those lines and create a really interesting effect. I think I had limited success with this because my paper was just a bit too dry by this point and things had started to dry out already. All right, time to take the paper off. There we go. I am making sure that my painting is bone dry at this point, and then I'm just going to go in and do a last little bit of cleanup and a few more details. And you can see how light I kept everything, how airy and soft all this painting is. I really did try hard not to add too much contrast. Just a little bit more Payne's gray here and there so that we can actually see this Kudu's face. And I'm gonna call this one done. If you like my channel and you enjoy my content, please do like and subscribe. It does help my channel a lot. I hope you enjoyed this Kudu. I'm going to be releasing the full version of this video on Friday, and you will also be able to find the sketch as a free download, and I hope you make the choice to paint along with me and just have a fun, relaxing time with watercolor. I love you all. Stay blessed. Lita out.